Welcome to my channel Daily Bulletin News. Brady clashes with Mrs. Choi over Tate's future, and Doug's attempts to pay off his debts end in disaster. On today's Days of Our Lives, Brady asks if Tate's talked to Holly, but no, he hasn't. She's got no idea Sophia's keeping the baby. He just can't get the words out to Holly. He's even panicking at just the thought that he's going to be a father. Brady tells him that, yes, Tate's life is going to change, but he has faith in his son and his strength. He then tells Tate to let Holly know he still cares about her when he tells her. Tate can't help but think things would be over already if Sophia's mom had never found out, and he can't help but blame Ava. Brady defends Ava, saying it was a misunderstanding and this isn't her fault. Tate says he knows he's the one who got Sophia pregnant, but they used protection, this shouldn't have happened. Brady starts laying into Tate that it's not easy for him, either, but before he can say more, Tate tries rushing out to see Holly, only to run into Amy at the door. Brady invited her to talk. The two parents introduce themselves, but when Tate tries rushing out, Amy insists he stick around. They sit down and when Brady asks where to begin, she says with wedding planning. Brady's a bit flabbergasted, and Tate reiterates again that they're not getting married. Amy says they're minors and what they want and what's right for them are two different things. Brady sighs and politely tells Mrs. Choi that he agrees with his son. Marriage isn't the best answer for them. Amy says abortion isn't the best answer, so what now? This isn't the future she wanted Sophia to have, but she's not throwing her beliefs because of convenience. What happened doesn't mean it has to change everything, Brady tells her. Amy's not backing down from her beliefs, period, so she's doing what's best for her daughter and the baby. Brady just promises that if Sophia's having the baby, he and Tate will do what they must to provide for it. Amy coldly tells him that's the absolute least they can do and walks out. Tate thanks his dad for having his back and Brady says he always will. Tate tells his dad that he needs to get to Holly now, though. Over at the Kuriaki's mansion, Holly's gazing at her necklace when Doug calls to thank her for hanging out with him. She says she had fun last night and it was better than sitting around thinking about Sophia. She hasn't talked to Tate, but the procedure should be done by now. Doug reassures her that once Tate's home, they can move on. You deserve to be happy, Holly. She thanks him for being so nice. They hang up and Holly tells herself it's over now. Then Sophia walks in, wanting to apologize for everything. She never meant for any of this to happen and doesn't want this. Holly thanks her, but says she's probably tired after everything she's been through. She asks how Sophia is and her frenemy starts talking about her nausea and getting as big as a house, which is when Holly realizes she's still pregnant. Sophia figured Tate would have told Holly about her mom finding out and stopping them. Yeah, well, he didn't. Worse, her mom insists they get married and she has a way of getting what she wants. At the Horton house, Doug's on the phone with Leo saying the money from the necklace wasn't enough to cover his debts. Julie comes downstairs and Doug hangs up, wishing her a happy new year. He notes she's in her robe and asks if she's going to bed, but no, she never got dressed, she never slept last night and she's really struggling. As she talks about what Doug, original, would do every new year, she breaks down. Doug is always going to be in her heart, but Doug 3 hugs her as she cries. Julie pulls away and apologizes, but Doug tells her not to feel bad. She's been incredibly strong already and he's glad he can be there for her. He gets a text telling him to meet at the park, makes an excuse about it being from Holly and Julie insists she's fine and that he goes. Ava strolls into the DeMera living room. The front door was unlocked, demanding a confession from Kristen. Kristen teases her about her silly little text messages, but stops laughing when Ava says the texts were traced back to the mansion. Kristen looks thoughtful as Rachel listens in at the door. Kristen shrugs that anyone from Chanel to the staff could send the texts. She spins a tale as to why Johnny or Chanel would send the texts and how much EJ hates her. In fact, almost no one in the house likes her. Fine, Ava concedes, but Kristen's the one with the problem with her and Brady. She is done with all this, but as she lays into Kristen, Rachel bursts into the room. Leave my mother alone. She tells Ava to stop bullying her mom and that she needs to go. Now, Kristen then teams up with Rachel to toss Ava out with a final warning. If the harassment doesn't stop, she's calling the police. Ava leaves and happily skips over to the chessboard, moving pieces as Kristen sings, "It was you, wasn't it?" Rachel tries playing dumb, but after some prodding, admits she may have sent a text or two to reunite mommy and daddy. Kristen sets some ground rules, including no more texting. How you feel about someone, you can't go around threatening everyone. Rachel points out that mommy does, and Uncle EJ, and Nano Stefano, and, yes, Kristen gets the point. Their family isn't great with that, but doing that makes a lot of enemies and Kristen doesn't want that for Rachel, so time to knock it off. Rachel's horrified to realize her mom is going to punish her for this and has to hand over her phone. And they're changing the Wi-Fi password so Rachel can't use anything else. She then sends Rachel stomping up to her room. "Are you happy, father?" Kristen demands of his portrait. After Tate's gone, Ava shows up at Brady's and the two hug and wish each other a happy new year. Brady tells her about Mrs. Choi's visit and her marriage demands. Ava feels responsible for the whole mess, but Brady assures her she is not to blame. He wants to change the conversation, but Ava says hers won't be much better. She's still getting texts and confronted Kristen. She blamed everyone else, then Rachel came in and joined her. Brady promises to handle it once and for all. Holly calls Doug while he's in the park, but Tate shows up before she can tell him what's happening. She hangs up and Tate starts off with an apology, but Holly already lays out everything he was going to tell her. She felt like an idiot because he didn't tell her as soon as it happened. He just couldn't figure out how to do it, but he insists that he and Sophia won't get married. It'll be all over in 9 months. Is he kidding? Holly points out that's just the start of their baby and it's never going to be over. Back in the park, two thugs show up demanding the money. Doug pays them off and they demand to know where the rest is. He'll get it, he swears. But nah, time's up. They close in on him. In the show's final moments, Julie sits down on the couch and checks her messages, seeing supportive ones from Maggie, Marie and Jennifer. She deletes them all without responding, then starts to cry. Brady barges in on Kristen telling her to stop the texts. They're childish and stupid. He'll slap her with a harassment claim if she doesn't stop. Kristen says it's not necessary and cuts Brady off as he yells at her, telling him it was Rachel. Tate wanders out into the square, looking miserable, where Sophia's drowning her sorrows in hot chocolate. He already knows she saw Holly. She got upset and took off when he saw her. Out in the park, Holly chases the two laughing thugs off, then finds Doug on the ground, eyes closed and beat up. Stay tuned and subscribe the channel.